Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Spilling the University. And today I'm joined by Nell and we'll be talking about the interview, hopefully aiming to calm your nerves. So, Nell, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you study? Which college are you?
Hi everyone, so I'm Nell and I applied for Cambridge in 2029? No,
2029.
2019?
Right.
2018? I don't know, before COVID. And I applied to King's College with a deferred offer and then got into Girton. And I study MML, same as Andrew. I study French and Spanish. And I'm currently in my final year.
Crazy. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is what was it like the day of your interview? So obviously it might be a little bit different because I know that this year some colleges have interviews in real life and some have them online, and you had a in real life interview, right?
Yeah, I did.
So talk me through the day before you woke up. Were you already in Cambridge? Did you come to Cambridge the day before?
I came down to Cambridge with my family and stayed in King's accommodation actually. So I was already here the morning of the interview.
Nice.
Hilariously, I locked myself in my room and was so nervous about asking for help to get out because I thought I'd heard about all of these like things that they do in your interview to test you, you know. And so I was like,
the
oh,
mice?
yeah. So I was like, wait, what if my door locking itself is part of my interview test and I have to like figure out a way out, like some kind of escape room. So I tried to like unpick it with a coat hanger. But then porters came and got me out.
Nice. No, okay, first thing before we talk about the interview is that I've heard about this as well. Is there some people that just spread lies on the internet about what you need to do? I think it's maybe a fear-mongering thing. But I had a friend who heard that you had to take your shoes off as soon as you were in the interview. So like they were like, oh, come into the room. And she was like, wait, do I keep my shoes on? Do I take them off? And then she really, really panicked and just threw her off. So guys, number one thing about a Cambridge interview, keep your shoes on. More you know. Okay, so you managed to get out of your room.
Yeah.
And then how many interviews did you have?
I had 2 interviews, one for French, one for Spanish, and I had an exam on the day as well.
Okay, which exam was it? Was it the, what was it about?
I can't remember. It was like a comprehension kind of type of exam.
Okay.
I think I had to write 2 like mini essays in response to a text. One in English, one in my chosen language.
I did that, I remember that.
Yeah.
And so for the first interview, do you remember much? Well, do you remember much about the separate interviews, or do you want to just talk through both together?
Yeah, they were quite different actually, my 2 interviews. I was so nervous, like horrifically nervous.
Yeah.
But I think once you get there on the day, you're kind of like, well, I've done all my preparation and there's not much else you can do. And it was really nice because staying in King's meant I met a load of other people who were also there for the interview and we all got on really well. So my first interview was for Spanish and it was quite like serious, quite sort of like quiet. And so before going into the interviews, I had time to like prepare, again in kind of exam conditions, to prepare some grammar exercises and comprehension. And so when I went into the Spanish interview, and the same with the French one actually, it was just like, it was mainly talking through those texts and like explaining what I understood from them, and I was asked questions on them. And then there was a tiny little bit, because I did a lot of preparation for my interview on my personal statement. Some people get asked loads of stuff about your personal statement. I didn't get asked that much, or it was kind of more indirect. They asked me, like, they picked up on one tiny little really specific thing that I'd mentioned about going to a gallery and like seeing this particular work of art, and they asked me about that. So advice: know your personal statement inside out. Don't lie on it, and have things prepared to say about your personal statement before going into interview. So yeah, the Spanish one was kind of really scary, but the interviewers, I remember one of them was like quite kind, the other one was quite like, she looked really austere, but they were both lovely, and it's very clear that they want you to do well in the interview. Like they were really encouraging of me to like expand my answers, and they were like, we know you know this, like come on, like push yourself a little bit, and were really encouraging if I got something right, so that was very nice. I had absolutely no idea how it went at all, couldn't tell, no idea. And then the French one was...
But can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So first thing I was going to say about the interview is, I don't know if what you meant by scary, but I found it scary for the first 5 minutes because I was like, this is a Cambridge interview, what do I do? But then sort of when I eased into it, I was like, oh, this is chill. Like, it's just like me speaking to a teacher in class.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was always the guy that put his hand up a lot. So then it was like, this is just like Spanish class, like me being like, oh, I think this, I think that. And also with a lot of the questions on the personal statement, obviously I think this is where it is a bit different for STEM and humanities, but at least for humanities, a lot of the time there is no right answer. If they ask you, what do you think about this theme? Or we realised that you mentioned these sorts of works a lot in your personal statement. What draws you to this? There is no right answer. Just say what you think, because I think that some people think that, wait, what are they looking for? What's the right answer on their kind of mark scheme?
100%.
There is not any. You just have to speak whatever you want to say.
I think the biggest piece of advice I have is just to be yourself. Like, just go in completely authentically you, and be honest about what you know, what you don't know, what you like, what you don't like. Don't try to pretend. Don't try to like know more than you do. Like, I was quite honest about the fact that like I hadn't read loads of books. Like, I hadn't learned the subjunctive, for example, at school yet. Like, I didn't know these kinds of things. So if you just go in and be yourself, also it helps you calm your own nerves as well if you're just sort of like transparent with who you are. And I think also they love that, because if you think how many applicants come through their door, like they've seen it all. They've got people with, like, I didn't have all A stars. I didn't have all 9s at GCSE or anything. I got 1 9 at GCSE. And my proudest GCSE was my maths, where I got a 6. So,
Slay, girl.
Thank you. Like, I think they want to see your character, and they want to see your enthusiasm and your curiosity for your subjects more than like what you actually want to know. They want to know if you're teachable, which in my in my French interview, that was kind of a wacky experience, because the interviewer, I got there, sat down on the sofa, and he went, "So now, tell me, what's it like coming from a rural state school in North Yorkshire?" And I was like, no, he said, he's like, "Now, what brings you to Cambridge?" And I was like, "My interview." I didn't really know what to say. And then we like chatted a bit about my experience in my school, and they were so lovely, the French interviewers, and it was honestly such a memorable experience. It was so much fun, and it was like an hour, or not an hour, I don't even know how
30, 40 minutes,
something like that, where I was like, oh, I kind of understand Cambridge now, and I'm like, okay, this is somewhere I want to go, this is a place I want to be, because we just had such an interesting discussion, and it like flowed really nicely. We looked through lots of grammar exercises, and honestly I was like, I don't know half of this, but they were so encouraging, and they were like, just have a guess, like just go for it. And I left the interview feeling really positive, in the sense that I was like, I just really enjoyed that. Like, I had a really interesting conversation with like these incredible specialists in this field. So that was really great. So my 2 interviews felt quite different, because one felt much more like kind of straight and like serious, and the other one was much more, I think I relaxed into it more the second time round.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, for me, I always find it really interesting to speak to other people about their interview experience, because I think not only does it change a lot per subject, but I think even within the same subject sometimes it can have a different style of interview for each maybe college. I mean, not massively, but there will be slightly different styles, like I said, for each person. So for example, in my one, it was just one interview of 1 hour, and I just kind of felt like the time flew by, because I remember at the end we were talking about something, and the interviewer said, "Oh, I wish we could just carry on talking about this." And I was like, you know what, me too. I've been really, like, I was also, because I was really getting into it, and I was sometimes thinking, okay, I'm going to challenge this idea, and I'm going to take on this new idea that I'd never really considered before. And I think that's what they're looking for.
100%.
More than pure knowledge and walking encyclopedias. They're looking for just people.
Definitely. I mean, I applied to Cambridge and came to my interview feeling like I didn't really know anything, and also being kind of realistically aware that I didn't know as much, like I didn't have as much knowledge on some things or as many skills as other people in certain areas, but I came with that excitement for the subject and the desire to learn, and also a really kind of clear idea of the things that I'm interested in. And I think that definitely is what they're not looking for, like the final product. Like you're gonna go to university to learn more. That is the whole point. They want to see that they can teach you and that you're going to be receptive to like all the resources that are on offer and you're going to get the most out of it.
Nice. So could I ask, what did you do the week before for preparation? I've already got some strong opinions about this. I think that interview preparation is necessary, but not in the way that everyone thinks.
Yeah.
I don't think that you need to be studying 12 hours a day every single day for the week before the interview. Personally, as I mentioned in other videos, check out my guide on how to get an offer. Okay, now I've clicked on that. Thank you very much. I think you need a day off a day off before your interview, or an afternoon off or something, because you need to go in with like a fresh mindset. You need to be ready to speak about these complex themes. But I'd be interested to hear what you did in the week before to prepare for the interview.
I remember I got a notebook. I went to Rich Smith's and bought a specific notebook for my interview preparation.
Nice.
And I focused quite heavily on my personal statement. So I remember going through and like highlighting all the key points that I'd spoken about, or like any references that I'd made, any like films that I talked about or something like that, and kind of mind mapped off it like potential questions that could be asked, or different themes that this leads to, or points of conversation to discuss around that. Not only like in case, like it's very unlikely that they're going to ask you the specific questions that you prepared, but just so I had like a broader understanding of the subject. And yeah, what else did I do? I mean, for languages, like I made sure that I revised like the key grammar points and had some like key vocabulary at hand. And also just made sure I had things to say about what I was studying in A-level. And then I also drafted some more general questions about like, why do I want to study at Cambridge? Why languages? Why this college? I was like, oh, because it's really pretty.
Good for my Insta.
Yeah, definitely do more research on your colleges, I would say that.
Okay. Because what did you do? You just kind of chose randomly?
I didn't know anything about the college system at all. I remember I came to look around with my parents, and I remember seeing King's, because it's like the centre of Cambridge, and I was like, oh, that's pretty. And I was just in a panic, so I applied to King's. But when you actually get here, it becomes clear that there is a big difference in all the different colleges, and they all have so much to offer. And I'm really, really happy that I ended up at Girton. But I feel like we can do a whole separate video on choosing a college.
That's almost like we've got another video planned.
Oh,
That's so crazy. Just a quick shout out. Now and I are going to be doing another video talking about her experience coming to university as a first-generation university student, being Northern and discussing imposter syndrome and going to Girton. So there's a lot. Check out our other episode.
Yeah. But yeah, back to interview preparation. I would say do as much preparation to make you feel like you're confident. I think, and then stop. As in, don't overdo it. Don't stress yourself out. I think actually it's so much more important to be kind of calm and to feel like mentally fresh, and they're going to know that you're really nervous, and that's completely to be expected and fine, and everybody is lovely and just wants you to do well, and just wants to get to know you. So yeah, I think do as much preparation as it takes to help you feel comfortable, but don't overdo it.
I also think that, first little side note is that for STEM students, obviously it is a tiny bit different.
Yeah.
And this is why I think that for everybody, for your college, check the website. The college will give you, even if it's just a small short paragraph about what you need to prepare, they will say, for example, you have one interview, I don't know, for French, one interview for Spanish. Maybe there'll be one interview on this part of the course, one interview for this part of the course. And although it's like not 100% necessary to know this, I think it's a good idea to check it out, just because it means you know, okay, kind of what you're going to go into.
Yeah, definitely. And I made flashcards of the kind of things I prepared and of like key grammar points and stuff, just to take, and I did flick through them like before I was going into my interview, just to feel, you know, a bit more confident. And yeah, of course it's different for STEM subjects. I
think, sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, I've forgotten what I was saying.
I think it's also, obviously, as a YouTuber, I'm very biased, but I think the internet is a very powerful resource. So say you're applying for engineering, just search up engineering Cambridge interview, and then there'll probably be somebody who's posted a video explaining about their experience. If not, you can maybe, honestly, I love ChatGPT. I would ask it because it literally just compiles all the information on the internet, and it might not be perfect, but it gives you a rough idea. And also regarding the preparation, I was thinking that essentially the interview at Cambridge is a different exercise to probably anything you've ever done at school.
Yeah.
And here's why. At school, at GCSEs, for example, I was an absolute perfectionist. I mean, I was, for example, maths, I would be like, if I got 80%, I'd be like, no, 90%. 90%, like, no. Even if it was a 9, I'd be like, no, I need to get 95. And I'd always be pushing for 100%. And although it was hard, it was possible because you can just literally like bang every single past paper and then go into the exam being like, yeah, I've memorized this entire syllabus. Get to A-level, it's a bit more complicated, there's more content, but there's still a point when you're like, yeah, I'm confident about vectors, I'm confident about, I don't know, whatever topics there are at maths A-level. I did. Oh. Got an A star. No, basically, so there's like a point where you can be like, okay, I've learned all the content.
Yeah.
But with the interview, there's not. Like, there's never a point when you're like, okay, I've learned every single thing ever about French literature. Like,
and you can't, and you're not expected to. And I think it is such an alien experience. And I mean, like, we have very different in the way that we approach Cambridge, hilariously.
Opposites attract.
Yeah. I had no interview preparation, like no practice interview at all with my school. I sent off the first draft of my personal statement.
I sent off draft 6. I was going crazy.
Hilarious. So it just goes to show like that everybody has different ways of getting here. And yeah, so I think going in with an open mind, I mean, I had to have an open mind because I literally had no idea what it might be like at all. But yeah, it's different for everybody. And I think, yeah, I definitely remember, as you said, like using the internet, I did a lot of research about what the interview might be like, what kind of things they want. I did that for the personal statement as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is blaspheming if I say this, but
okay, good.
I used the Oxford website.
You know, I was about to cut the cameras. Like, seriously. I was like, okay, we can say Oxford, it's fine. Use the Oxford website.
I used the website of the other place.
Of another university.
Because I found their website much easier to interpret, and they had some really useful advice and information about the interview and personal statements and stuff. Yeah. So I just applied that to my...
That's an awful piece of advice. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, honestly...
I'm sorry.
I know. Everyone obviously pits Oxford and Cambridge together, but like, yes, we are rivals, but it's just a joke. I mean, if there's good resources for Oxford... if there's good resources for Oxford, just use it. Like, there's really not much of a difference. That's why a lot of my videos I say, oh, Oxbridge advice, because realistically, the system, the application is essentially the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you can't apply to both.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say is kind of going back to something you said a minute ago. It's about preparing a question that they might ask. And they didn't ask me why Cambridge, but I think it's always good to have a quick think about that before your interview. So I thought, okay, if they ask me why Cambridge, why do you want to come to Cambridge? I think it's kind of important to show that you've thought through this decision and you're not just coming for the fancy architecture and the name. Yeah. And so I actually, honestly, really loved the Cambridge course. And I thought, okay, same. I want to do the languages because, in my specific case, in the 2nd and 4th year of the Cambridge degree, you can pick up Portuguese, Ukrainian, Polish, a bunch of other languages on top of the languages you already study. And so I thought, okay, picking up Portuguese would be really great. I ended up choosing Catalan when I actually got here. So I didn't stick by what I had originally thought, but I knew that was a really great opportunity. And I think, I can't remember the other thing I planned to say, maybe about the exchanges available, because obviously they've got a lot of exchanges at other universities.
Yeah.
They didn't ask it, but I think it's just good to show that you've kind of thought about it a bit. And the answer can literally just be 2 sentences long. You don't have to give a whole speech.
Yeah. This also made me think another thing is good to prepare a question to ask them as well. Anything like, and also because this is your chance to see if Cambridge is for you. Like, I can't lie, I had an offer from Manchester and I was so excited about it and I really wanted to go there. And I wasn't sure if Cambridge was going to be the right place for me, so I had to kind of use the interview experience as a way of being like, is this somewhere where I think I could be happy? And it was my French interview where I was like, yeah, it is. But use it for yourself as well, because it is such a specific type of place and it's not for everyone, and that's totally fine. So use the interview as an opportunity to ask questions about what it's like being a Cambridge student and about the course. The other thing, because I did a gap year, if you did a gap year, it's good to have prepared why and what you did on it, and like what you learned from it. I think that's a good thing as well.
Awesome. And finally, what would your main bit of advice be to applicants? Sorry, this is such a big question.
No,
I'm just
it's
throwing
fine.
on you.
It's so cringy, but honestly, just be yourself. Like, that genuinely is my biggest piece of advice. That's what I did. 'Cause I didn't really know what else to do, and it worked. And I think, but I think it's true that they want to see your genuine character. They want you. There are going to be thousands and thousands of people applying who all have the same grades, who've all been to like these really good schools, or have done like, you know, everyone's going to be head girl and head boy, you know. So just showing who you are and showing having a genuine curiosity and interest in your subject, and having proof of that in the way that you've, I don't know, spent like some time reading a book, or some time watching a film, or
reading an article,
anything, yeah. Like, you want to have evidence of the fact that you love your subject, and use it and just enjoy it, I think, is the main advice as well, because it's an incredible opportunity to come to such a fantastic place, to speak to specialists in, you know, about something that you love, and it's a once in a lifetime experience. So I think if you can try and relax and just be yourself, then you're in with a really good shot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Well, now, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
I'm so happy that we've managed to have you on the channel. Yay. And yeah, check out the description box for the other videos that we filmed together. Take care, everyone. Good luck for the interview.
Good luck.